Great. Again, thank you everybody for joining us this morning. I'm Stuart. As Ken mentioned, I head up the franchise sales division here. I'm really going to go through a pretty lengthy presentation rather quickly. So my real goal is to try and give you some value. But again, in a group like this, speaking so quickly in about 10 minutes, there's definitely a lot more to learn. Certainly invite you to come in for that one-on-one consultation if you're really looking for the right franchise. And with that being said, I'm going to jump right in. And I made a fun PowerPoint today. I call it the top 10 reasons to really explore franchising. And number one is really just the size of the industry. Franchising is a huge industry. And one of the most interesting facts is out of all the service and retail businesses out there, that only consists of about 12% of those businesses are franchised. So 12% of the businesses out there in service and retail are franchised, but they're getting about 50% of the pie. The Dunkin' Donuts, you travel, you go to a Holiday Inn, you eat lunch at a McDonald's. You're passing all these different independents and all these other types of businesses, but the franchises really get a disproportionate share of the money that we spend. Continuing on number one on how big the industry is, most people, when I have more time in the seminar, I like audience participation. I have everybody announce franchises, almost like clockwork. It's McDonald's, Wendy's, 7-Eleven, Jiffy Lube, Amco. People really perceive that franchising is all about retail and brick and mortar and inventory. The reality is we've got 7 great companies presenting today. None of them are fast food franchises. Those are great opportunities, but a lot of the clients that I meet with, I make the joke, and it's certainly not a joke, I say corporate America refugees. Very few of these people are looking for 7-day-a-week retail businesses with those long hours and the heavy inventory and lots of labor. My clients typically are looking for education-type franchises, retail, pet care, cleaning services, real estate, senior care. So again, if you take one thing out of this event is really just try and open up your mind to how many different types of opportunities are really out there in franchising, and that's not all brick and mortar and retail. The number 2 reason in my list to look at a franchise, it's the success rate. So we're involved in selling up and running established companies. We help people buy into franchise systems. There's zero comparison between the success of a franchise versus an independent. And if you look at this, 1 year in business, 97% of franchises survive, 92% of independents. They're both very big numbers, but you now start looking 5 or 10 years down the road, the comparisons, it's night and day between the success of a franchise. Someone has spent time, money, energy, effort to build a business model, and you have the opportunity in joining a franchise to come in and follow a proven model. What's important is making sure you have that right skill set to follow that model. Number 3, franchising is way more affordable than you think. When I do my seminars, and again I have more time for audience participation, I always ask, what do you think a franchise costs? And people are throwing out these big numbers, $500,000, $400,000, $1 million. And they're right because they're in the mindset of that McDonald's and the Wendy's. And first off, most of us can't afford it. Most of us really don't want that business even if we could. Really, the 52% of franchises have a total investment of under $100,000. Several of the franchisors presenting today are going to fall into that category. The next big chunk, 32%, costs between $100,000 to $250,000. You're now talking that almost 85% of all franchises have a total investment of under $250,000. And the great thing is there's actually funding options for franchising. Some franchisors do in-house funding. We've got a great lender today. They do 401k rollovers, and that's a part of their specialty niche. There's real options on how to go fund a franchise. And those big numbers that people throw out, that $500,000 mark, you only have about 6% of the franchises that cost in that type of level or greater. Again, they've got the biggest mind share. They're all the fast food restaurants, but they're not really those service businesses and those outbound retail that we have here today. Number 4, hands down, my favorite thing about franchising, there is zero relationship between what you invest and what you're going to be able to earn. And I'm going to say that a second time because it goes against a lot of what we've learned in business. You got to spend money to make money. But in franchising, there is zero correlation between what you're going to invest and what you're able to earn. When you go and buy an established company, there's going to be a direct relationship between what it costs and what it earns. But with franchising, you are truly buying what I call the blueprints for success. If you're that right architect with those right blueprints, some of the companies here today are really unbelievable service companies where you're not investing in these big, expensive brick and mortar retail layouts. You have the opportunity to build a much bigger business in a less expensive environment But now you got to bring more human capital to the table. You got to be comfortable managing employees or sales or marketing. And each franchisor certainly has different specific skill sets that they look for in a good franchise candidate for their model. Number 5, industry experience is required. Normally, I describe that as a myth. Only about 25% of franchisees are in industries they were once in before. And sometimes having too much industry experience is actually a turnoff to that franchisor. What they really look for are what your skill sets are and your transferable skill sets, and are you coachable? Are you a good fit for their business model? They're not looking for experts in their industry. They're the experts in their industry. They have a business model that makes sense and processes in place. Where they want a good, competent people that are comfortable following processes and systems that are already in place. Number 6, you're in business for yourself and not by yourself. And again, 7 franchisors presenting today. I am sure at some point every one of the franchisors has used that line. It's a very popular cliche in franchising, but what does it really mean? What does it mean to be in business for yourself but not by yourself? Well, the for yourself, everyone's going to have different goals and objectives. I meet with people that honestly say, Stu, I've got real pain in my life. I need to earn X amount of dollars, and I don't care if I have to watch paint dry. That's what I need. There are other people that come in and they want to go build something, and they want to create jobs, and they want to feel rewarded, and they want to have fulfillment. Well, great. That's all the components to your business model. So that's the reasons why you're going to be in business for yourself. Success, fulfillment, flexibility, independence, control, financial security. Everyone in this room is going to have their own things that are important to them in their business search. The not by yourself part is what the franchisor brings to the table. Experience, training, sales, culture of teamwork. Education is expensive. I make the joke that you could go into business for yourself. I call it the school of hard knocks. You might be able to figure it out, but it's going to take you time. You're going to make mistakes along the way. You're going to invest money in the wrong programs. You're going to underpay employees and have turnover. There are plenty of entrepreneurs that if you have the staying power, you could figure a lot of this out. For others, they would rather avoid some of that risk and some of the unknowns, and that's where a good franchisor company comes in. You buy into their model and their system. Ray Kroc, the gentleman that gets credited for really franchising McDonald's, he had a great line that a good franchisor should take ordinary people and help them achieve extraordinary results. Creation of wealth, as Ken mentioned, really in the book, The Millionaire Next Door, they talk about where America has really made their wealth, and it's through small business ownership. In my opinion, the right way to look at a franchise, you got to understand where you're trying to go, and I look at franchising as a vehicle or business ownership as a vehicle. If you know 5 years from now you want a 5-day-a-week business that's scalable and repeat customers, great. Looking at a list of franchises might not get you there. What you need to do first is build your business model. Understand where you're trying to go, what you consider success, what your skill sets are, what your comfort levels are. Let's define where we're trying to go first, and then let's look for the right vehicle that could get you there. A lot of people come in differently, and they don't want a retail business, but they're calling about a Dunkin' Donuts. Well, if you don't want retail and you don't want 7 days a week, why are we really looking at that model? And I get it because it's a big brand. People perceive the model to be easy, very few failures. But if you don't have that skill set, if it's not where you're trying to go, it's certainly going to be the wrong vehicle. So again, in building your business model, what are your goals? Retirement, lifestyle, financial security, personal fulfillment. What are you really trying to attract with business ownership? I always start off my seminars by saying, who wants business ownership? And generally all the hands go up. So the question becomes, why do you want that business ownership? And here are a lot of the reasons why people are looking for that business ownership. The number 10 reason to look at a franchise just might be the best option out there. Again, I'm dealing with individuals right now that are looking for employment. It's a very tough job market out there. I've got people that I've met with 3 years ago that they went and they took a job. They come back a year later because they get downsized. They come back a year after that. Again, there's other options out there, but if you really want to take real financial control of your future, I think franchising is probably one of the strongest ways to really do so. You could buy that established business, but you get that immediate cash flow, but you don't get that hand-holding. You don't get that support. If you haven't really been an entrepreneur before and gone through the maze of all the different challenges, it's very powerful to have that brand behind you, that support behind you, that guidance behind you. So real quick, just wrapping it up, I'm going to switch gears and try and give you a little bit more value on how to really research a franchise and be successful. Again, one of the first things I think you need to do is build your business model and understand where you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now. Again, you got short term, you got long term goals with business ownership. Again, what do you want from business? Challenge, recognition, prestige, build equity, time for family, friends, financial security. Everybody's going to bring different things to their business model. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when I started with Ken, I just wanted to make lots of money. That was my entire business model. Now I'm married. I got 2 little kids at home. My model has changed. I want to be home at dinner time. I want my weekends off. I don't want to manage a ton of employees. So again, people's business models are going to change, and that's why I tell you got to focus 5, 10, 20 years down the road. Make sure that you're finding something that you're really building longevity with. What are your transferable skill sets? I meet with individuals all the time. I met with a nurse that came in and wanted to look at a nursing service. The truth is she didn't have the right skill set. She would have been a great nurse, but she didn't want to manage employees. She didn't want to deal with insurance companies or paperwork. She got cold when it came to the word sales. Well, her skill sets might be great for bedside manner, but doesn't mean she's going to go build a successful business in that industry. She just might be better being that nurse. What skill sets are you bringing to the table? If you like sales, if you like marketing, maybe we should not put you into a brick and mortar retail business where two of your biggest skill sets and enjoyments in the business world aren't going to be utilized. So again, let's understand what your skill sets are and try and find opportunities that will give you that chance to really utilize that. Again, your business model, employees. Some people really are great managers and love working in an environment with employees. Other people think employees as a headache. Where's your comfort level? Budget. What's your budget to get into a business? And not just, I've got $50,000 to buy a business. Well, what's your burn rate? What does your life look like? What are you spending? What's your output going on at your home? Let's go find a business that you could afford, but you also have that ramp-up time to build the business. And if there's one challenge in franchising, it's that you don't always have that instant gratification. You're building that business. Sometimes it could be a year or 2 years before you really start pulling money out of the business. Some of the franchisors here today I invited because they have very fast ramp-up. Others have longer ramp-up cycles. But you got to really understand your entire budget, and we help you analyze that. Business environment. Some people love putting on a shirt and tie and doing seminars. Other people find that painful. Some people want to be in that brick and mortar retail. Some people want to wear jeans and a t-shirt to the office. Others really want to do business networking and work in more of a professional atmosphere. Full-time or part-time hours, number of units. Some people have vision of owning 10 locations. That is terrific. Other people don't want any locations. They want a home-based business. Some people want something very scalable. You got a single location and you could continue to grow out of one location. So again, everyone's going to bring different goals and preferences to the business. What our firm does, we really help you build that business model. All those things that I pointed out to you just now, when I meet with the client, 90% of the time, they don't have all these answers at day number one. That franchise assessment that Ken was talking about, that is a great tool for when we get together to start building your business model. We ask you lots of open-ended questions. We try and understand what your drivers are so we could build a business model and match you to companies that actually make sense for your skills, your budget, and what you're trying to accomplish. So how do you find that great fit in franchising? In my opinion, you really separate the role of the owner from the function of the business. Today, some of the companies that are going to be presenting, you might find the function of their business or the service that they offer just not that exciting to you. I'm telling you, focus more on the role of the owner because they have great lifestyles, and that's why I really invited these franchisors down. Their franchise owners are happy, they're making money, they're successful. They might not high-five themselves every single morning, yes, I love the industry I chose, but they like the dollars they're making, the hours they're working, the dollars they're able to save and acquire. So again, think in different terms than rather just what the business is, but what am I bringing to the table and what does success look like in this franchise? Plan your strategy, short-term, long-term, and exit strategy. Short-term is very simple. Find a business you're not going to fail at. How do you do that? Lots and lots of homework and research. And every one of the franchisors here today, they really believe in awarding franchises and not selling franchises. They care just as much about who they're speaking to and making sure that you're the right fit for their franchise as you should be caring what business you're about to investigate. So again, short-term, find businesses you will not fail at. And again, the franchisors presenting here today, they're all established. They all know what it takes to be successful in their business model. If you hate customer service and they're a customer service-driven franchise, even if you want to move forward, they're going to really talk to you about, hey, you just might be missing this real key skill set to find success. So again, short term, it's homework and research. Long-term strategy, what are the things that are important to you? If you are going to go start a family and have kids, maybe buying that business that's going to involve nights and weekends, even though you might have the skill set that you might find success in, long-term, it just might not be fulfillment. This might be hours that you can't commit to or an environment that really doesn't work for you. So short-term, find the business you're not going to fail at. Long-term, find the business that could help you really achieve those goals, the income, the lifestyle, the hours that really complement your skill set. And last is exit strategy. So that is really half of our company is selling up and running established businesses. And some of these businesses, when you build them properly, it is really dynamite. You could get into, again, some of the franchisors presenting today are rather low cost, but if you build their model, you got to really understand what it looks like 5 years from now, 10 years from now, when you're really trying to exit this business. Is there really that exit strategy? And some of these businesses, nobody cares what it costs you to get into the business. When you go to sell your business, they care about how much money you're making. We sell restaurants that someone spent $1 million to build. It's earning $100,000. That restaurant owner only wants their $1 million back. Who in this room wants to spend $1 million to earn $100,000? It doesn't exist. There's no relationship there. But in franchising, there's costs to get into the business versus what you could build, what you could be earning, and what you could ultimately sell it for. It's irrelevant of what it costs you to get into the business. It depends what you're able to really build, and that's really the third component is that exit strategy. Due diligence, I could honestly stand up here for 2 hours and do a whole seminar on how to properly research a franchise. Keeping it simple, the most valuable part of researching a franchise, follow the franchisor's research plan, but included in that is the name and phone number of all their active franchisees in their franchise disclosure document. As much as I might tell you this might be a good fit for you and the franchisor is telling you how great their company is, you get the opportunity to really do validation and speak to their franchise owners. If they're happy, if they're making money, they're going to go share that with you. If they're unhappy, if they're not making money, they're going to go share that with you also. I tell you, you need a big enough population sample. You could come across somebody that's unhappy, but they just might not be the right person for the system. They might be lazy. They might be missing the right skill set. You got to go speak to 15, 20 franchisees, really get a good comfort level of really who is successful and why, who is having challenges and why, and give yourself that honest gut check. How do I compare to these different owners? If you really relate well to those successful owners, chances are you're going to go really duplicate that success. But if you're looking at a sign shop and everyone that's successful is in 10 different networking groups and business associations, and you hate doing that, it's irrelevant that they're successful because they're doing something you're not going to be doing for the business. So again, you got to go find like-minded people that really are operating a business the way that you plan on doing so. So what does the solution look like? And I call it a solution because if everything is perfect, if there's nothing broken, there's no point for us to meet. But the candidates I'm really meeting with are really in career transition. They're unhappy in their corporate environment. They're not making the dollars that they want to be making. There's some sort of driver motivating somebody to take on change. So a lot of people are looking for something stable, safe, affordable, something they could grow, something that won't be a fad. Again, the franchisors presenting today, Ken and I specifically requested them to present here because they really have business models that really are not the fads, that are not going anywhere. They're really the more safer, stable opportunities. So I always leave everybody with the question, if there's an affordable, safe, proven business, are you willing to look for it?